Yomא Perek Vov Mishnah Aleph. Now, we're now going back to something which we have discussed at the very end of Perek Gimel Mishnah Tes, and the beginning of Perek Valet, and that is the theme of the Shnei Seirim, the two goats. One is Lashem and one is Lazozel. So, says the Mishnah, this Perek is going to discuss these two Seirim in much more detail. Says the Mishnah, Shnei Seirei Yom HaKippurim, the two goats of Yom Kippur, i.e. one is Lashem and one is Lazozel, mitzvoson, the mitzvah is, which is always a lashon of lechatchila, as we'll see soon, sheyiyu shneihem shovin, that both of them should be similar, b'mareh, in appearance, i.e. both should be black, or both should be white, or both should be brown, uvakoima, and in height, they should be of the same height, uvadomim, and they should be the same monetary value, and they should be bought together. In other words, there should be one transaction. Whether that means when you go to the market to buy the Shnei Seirim, you're buying both goats from one seller, or if you want to buy them from two sellers, those two sellers will make a shliach and you're buying both animals in a single transaction. Now, what is the drosh of this? Where do we know this from? Because it says in the Pasuk Shnei Seirim 3 times. In Vayikra Tes Zayin, Pasuk Hey, Pasuk Zayin, and Pasuk Ches, it says Shnei Seirim 3 times. And we know Seirim is by definition a minimum 2. So the pasuk, when it says Shnei, 2 Seirim, is redundant. So the Gemara darshans that the repetition of the word Shnei, 2, is to teach us A, that they've got to be b'mareh, the same appearance, 2, b'koima, the same height, and 3, domim and nekichosom ke'echot, the same value and the same transaction. Although that seems to be a separate item, the Tosfos explains that since they're both external to the animal, they're not like the actually inherently part of the actual animal, it's an external feature, therefore they're grouped together as one. V'afal pi, however, continues the Mishnah, afal pi she'in shovin kasherim, even though they are not identical, they're not very, very similar either in one of those 3 aspects, then, but the eved, it is in fact kosher. How do we know that? Because the pasuk says hasoir. It says it twice, and that's a redundancy, it's a muyuta, and it comes to teach you that the di'evet, if they weren't the same, then they are in fact kasherim. Now, there's a very interesting musa to learn from this. I heard from Rabbi Bernstein once, that what is these two animals, these Shnei Seirim, they've got exactly the same features. They look the same, they're the same height, they cost the same, they're the same value. The amazing thing is that these two animals are going to have very different ends. One of them, the soil Hashem, is going to be shechted, and the blood is going to be sprinkled by the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur in the Kodesh Kedoshim. That is the most the spiritual high that an animal can possibly aspire to. On the other hand, the other animal is going to be thrown off a cliff. And the message is that on Yom Kippur particularly, a person has got to appreciate that he is given koiches from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He has abilities, capabilities, talents from Hashem, and some people use them in an unbelievable way. They fulfill their potential, and they can go lifnai v'lifnim. However, some people unfortunately don't use their potential, and they're the same people as the other person. It's just that they use their potential in a negative way. The koiches, the talents and abilities and capabilities which HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given a person, they use in a destructive way. And the same message is true, I think, on Pesach, that you use flour and water to bake matzahs. But yet, the same flour and water could be used to bake chometz. It's a matter of seconds, that's all. If you use that same ingredient, the same potential, the flour and water, you can be mekayim the mitzvah saseh of eating matzah on Pesach. If, however, chas v'shalom, a person bakes chometz, it can be over isurei kores by eating chometz on Pesach. So therefore, it's the same message of the Shnei Seirim. Okay, continues the Mishnah. Meis echod mehen. Now, if one of the Shnei Seirim dies, im ad shelo higril meis, if the animal dies before you've done the hagrola, before you've done the lottery, then yikach zug lasheni. No problem. You just buy a replacement animal. You buy a replacement animal for that second animal that is survived. And the one that died will just be replaced, no problem. If, however, the animal dies after you've done the lottery, so then you've got to do the lottery again. Continues the Mishnah, Yovi Zug Acher, you bring another pair, V'yagrin aleihem b'tchila, and you've got to redo the gorel, and you say as follows, Yomא, and you say, Im shashen meis, if the animal that died was the so'il Hashem, zeh she'ola olav hagorel Hashem, yiskayim tachtov. The one which I now draw out Hashem should be a replacement for that animal. And conversely, the im shel azazel meis, if the azazel one died, then you say, Zeh she'ola olav hagorel azazel yiskayim tachtov. The one that I draw out now, which goes for the azazel, should be the replacement of that animal that died. V'hasheni, in the second animal, yireh achi yistoev, should graze in the fields until it picks up a mum. V'yimocher, and then you sell it. V'yiplu of l'ndova, and the money goes l'ndova in a fund which is going to buy a korban l'ndova, as a voluntary offering. She'ein chatzah sibur meisa, because the chatzah, it's got a din of a chatzah sibur, which we'll explain in a second. Now, when it says v'hasheni yireh yistoev, the second animal is yireh yistoev, what does that mean? Which is the sheni? Because there are two choices. Let's think it through. Imagine you've got two goats over here, the so'il Hashem and the so'il azazel. Let's say the so'il Hashem dies. So you do a new girl, and you say, right, this one which comes out Hashem, that's going to be the replacement. V'hasheni, in the second one, yireh yistoev. So what does that refer to? It could either refer to the sheni of the second, of the first pair, the so'il azazel. That should be yireh yistoev, and you just simply use both animals of the second set. Or maybe it means that you keep the first animal of the so'il azazel, and the second one of the second set is yireh yistoev. And that in fact is a machlokus in the Gemara. It's a machlokus on Meroim. Rav says that when it says hasheni, it means the second goat of the new pair is yireh yistoev, because you can use this one. And Rabbi Yochanan argues, and it's the other one. And this machlokus is about Baalei Chaim Nedochim, but just to be aware, there is a machlokus, what it means, hasheni yireh yistoev. Okay, and then the Mishnah continued, V'hasheni yireh yistoev v'yimochav yiprim domim l'dov she'ein chatzos sibur mesa. Because a chatzos sibur, there's a halacha that an animal which is a chatzos, which is a communally owned animal, cannot be killed. Why? Because this is different to a chatzos shel yochid. The chatzos shel yochid would in fact be killed. But since this is a so'er of Yom Kippurim, they've got a din of a chatzos sibur, there is a rule that a chatzos sibur cannot be killed. And therefore it's got to be ro'achi, to start, it's got to graze until it picks up a mum, and then you can redeem it and put the money into the korban nedava, or to buy voluntary offerings. Rabbi Yehuda argues, continues the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda omer Thomas. Rabbi Yehuda argues and says that in this situation, even a chatzos sibur is mesa. Just like a chatzos yochid would be mesa, he would say that a chatzos sibur, where the bailim, the owners, have had a kapara already, they've had a kapara through the second replacement. So therefore, he would say that he would say Thomas, and this is consistent with what the Mishnah concludes with. Va'oid Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda also says Nishbach Hadam. In other words, the so'il Hashem has been shechted, and the dam, the blood of that animal, spills before the Kohen has had a chance to do all the hazos, or indeed, if the animal, the so'il Hashem, died before you had a chance to do the shechita. Either way, Yomus HaMishtalech, the Mishtalech, the second animal which was destined to be thrown la'azazel, then that animal has got to be killed. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that Baalei Chaim, that animals, whilst alive, nidochim, can be pushed aside and are no longer fit for use in the Beis HaMikdash. And why is that true? Kiven shetzorech, the Kati writes, that you need to shecht another soy. Once the azoza, the mishtalech animal dies, once the dam has been spilled, you're going to have to get a new soy Hashem. And to get a new soy Hashem, in order to do that, you're going to have to, the only way you're going to get a soy Hashem is by doing the gorolis again. And once the gorolis have been done again, so then the mishtalech horishin is yomas. The first one is going to have to be killed. It's no longer needed. Conversely, says the Mishnah, meis hamishtalech, if the soil Hashem died, then yishofei chadam. It's the same halacha. You've got to now go and buy a new pair of animals and do the hagrola all over again and start over. Now, where do we get this from? So the pasuk says like this: V'hasoy asher ola olav hagorel azozel. It says Yo'amad chai lifnei Hashem lechape olav. And the Gemara darshans, how long should it be Yom Chai? How long does it need to stand there for? So the answer is that the Soil HaZoza, which is going to be sent out, has got to be Yom Chai, has got to be alive and well, ad Shas Matan Domish Shel Chaveiro, until you apply the blood of its friend, i.e. the Soil Hashem. However, if the animal dies before that time, then the kapora of the dam is no good. You can sprinkle the dam of the other one, it doesn't help you. It's not considered a good kapora. Therefore, in such a situation of where the mishtanech dies before you've had a chance to do the dam, the dam is ineffective, and you've got to bring a new pair of animals and start afresh. That is the halacha at the end of that is Rabbi Yehuda, and the truth is that halacha would actually be l'divrei hakol. However, the halacha is like the Tanakama, that Baalei Chaim are not nidachim. Okay, that is the end of Mishnah Aleph.